All right, folks, shalom and welcome to the Yishai Fleisher Show, broadcasting live from Judea to the world. You're a part of it wherever you are. Shalom and welcome to Malka Fleisher.
Hello there.
Good to have you back on the show.
Another beautiful day in Judea.
It is a beautiful and lively day. It's also a day of protests. There's a protestation. Sometimes I think the Israeli left is starting to become a little bit like the Palestinians. They're starting to have like regular days of rage.
Yeah.
It's like starting to become like a thing. And that's too bad, because today should not be a day of rage, but should be a day of great joy, because today is also Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the new month of Nisan, which is the month of redemption, from the word Nisim, from the word miracles.
Right.
And this is the month of the Exodus, the month of Passover. So it starts today. It itself is considered a very holy day. This is the day where the tabernacle was anointed. But it also has
National Tabernacle Day.
National Tabernacle Day. That's what it should be called. National Tabernacle Day. NTD. The NTD. That's right. And the only thing is, you should know, though, that while it is National Tabernacle Day, and it is also the day that God showed Moses the first crescent moon and said, this is the beginning of the new year.
Right.
So like God instituted time for the Jewish people.
Right. So if you want to see what the moon looked like at the beginning of the calendar, look up at the sky tonight.
When the moon is in the seventh house. What is the seventh house?
I don't know.
There
are people who know from this stuff.
I don't know. I certainly do not know. But in any case, so today is Rosh Chodesh Nisan. You should know, though, that it also has a bit of a zinger inside of, like a bit of a pinch, a bit
What's
of a...
that?
Like, it's also the day that Nadav and Avihu were killed for bringing a strange fire into the tabernacle.
You know, that's my Torah portion. I always wasn't very happy about that.
Yeah? Okay. I mean, there are Kabbalistic books explaining how these guys were the highest of the high of the high.
Well, that's nice.
And that's why today's also for the righteous is considered a fast for the righteous.
You would think that the righteous would get a feast today.
No.
But no.
The righteous got in trouble today. So,
I see. Mm-hmm.
So it's a fast for the righteous. I'm just saying that's Judaism
there
for you.
Go.
We're like, woo! Rosh Chodesh Nisan, New Year, the beginning of the new year, beginning of the tabernacle, beginning of the new time. But it's also like,
yes,
don't over it. There's also a bit of a tad of a pinch there, and I guess in a way that's the realness of being Jewish, because being Jewish is, and I think also being a human being, which is like life is bittersweet. It's filled with amazing moments, highs, and it's filled with the other things as well, And those things are also a gift, really. They are all a gift. But, here are beautiful Israel. Like, I was at the Knesset all day yesterday. I've got a lot of stories for you from the Knesset. It's wow. The Jewish people, and Shmuley Botech came in. You're going to hear about that in a minute. And he was waxing about how great the rebirth of the Jewish people in the land of Israel is. And at the same time, it was also one of these days where there was tons of infighting in the Knesset and tons of tension. And so it was just like, that's the reality. It's like, it's hugely, beautiful, but it's a living space. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so that's the tension. Well, first, before I go into to what happened in Knesset, I want to tell you a few things that happened in Hebron recently. Just two things that happened. First is that the day before yesterday, I spoke to a group of the Abraham Hostel. I spoke to a group of the Abraham Hostel in the Avram Avinu synagogue. And there I, faced the usual questions and all the stuff. But there was a lot of Germans. There was a lot of Germans in that group, like 5. And I find speaking with Germans to be always very interesting, because they're intellectual on the one hand. On the other hand, they've got these conceptions. And I just said to them, like, why do you guys vote against Israel in the UN? I said to them, if I was a German, I would just take a vow of neutrality vis-a-vis Israel. I would just accept neutrality, be like, nope, we don't vote on Israel issues, good or bad. Because our country had a hand in the genocide of 6 million Jews. And that genocide of 6 million Jews
was
tied into...
hand in?
We did it.
Yeah.
We did that. And we did that not just because like some crazy dude came on the scene and just made it up. There was tons and tons of anti-Semitism when Hitler came around. It wasn't like he invented it. There was tons of it in this. There was newspapers and whole movements talking anti-Semitism, and this was based on all German anti-Semitism. So it's like maybe your, dirty past should inform the present, and maybe you should just not say something about the Jewish state, given that you've got this predilection.
Right. Or a history or whatever.
Right.
Yes, so?
They were just stunned. I'm like, wouldn't you want to?
What kind of stunned?
They were the kind of stunned that they were stunned for a little bit. They just had no answer. I like, that's part of one of my speaking tricks is that you got to take dramatic pauses. You're like, don't you think? Just wait for them to react. And in that moment, it's like whoever reacts first, loses. It's like, don't you think? I just look them in the eye, and so that was one thing. The other thing I want to tell you is that I spoke also with, I had a chance to tour young Israelis in a pre-military academy, a so-called mechina, and these guys were really secular. What I mean is like they were just truly secular folks. Okay, they were like from secular backgrounds. There wasn't like a lot of kids there being like, I want to put on tefillin or yeah, my family says Kaddish or Kaddish, Kiddush or whatever it is, Friday night. And like it was one of these places that we have a term for that in Israel. It's called shmutznikim, like truthfully, like fully, like secular from a secular place, right? It's like kibbutznik, shmutznik. They say a kibbutz that's totally secular. These kids, all I'm saying is I really had nothing against them. They were sweet like anything. They were sweet and they were intellectual and intelligent, but they were really secular. And one after the other, after I talked to them, we had a great time. And I could see that their pinta yid, their Jewish neshama, their Jewish soul came out and felt the Tomb of the Patriarchs and Matriarchs because they gave me the opportunity to share those feelings with them. And I told them that you don't have to have necessarily just religious feelings. If you've got national feelings, you could feel that here as well, given that this is the forefathers and mothers of our peoplehood.
Right. These are your grandparents.
Right. So even if you don't feel a like spiritual, religious, biblical connection, our tribe, you believe that we're a tribe, we're a peoplehood, here's the founders. And so there's that. But anyway, at the end, two different people, and maybe a third one also, came to me and was like this, because I think one came with another person. Which was like, one said to me the question of like, if we could just keep the Marat HaMachpelah, the Tomb of the Patriarchs and Matriarchs, but like the rest would be controlled by the Arabs, could you live with that? And another person said to me, what is your, what in your value system, what's more important, land or life? Would you be willing to give up?
Those are good questions.
Would you be willing to give up the land for peace? Or like, is peace the ultimate value, or is the land the ultimate value, and therefore you're willing to fight for it and lose life?
Okay, so what'd you say?
I said to them like this. I said, I'll have to translate this into English after I say it. I said to them, that is a very Ashkenazi question. I said to them, both of them. I said, those are Ashkenazi style questions, which means in Israel, like a kind of like, it doesn't really mean specifically Ashkenazi. It just means detached from Middle Eastness. And I just said to them, those are totally detached from the Middle East questions. You think that the tension is between land, and I'm willing to fight for it, and willing to therefore give up life. So therefore, land is more important than life. I said, you got it. Your formula is completely wrong. The truth is, if you hold on to the land, that's how you get security and you get life. Once you start giving up land, then you start inviting the enemy to come in more and then attack you more. And then you lose life. See, as a Middle Easterner would never be like, what's more important, land or life? It'd be like, my life is dependent on the land. The land is dependent on my life. The whole thing is, they're weaved together. And if I'm strong and I'm on my land, then I got life. And then I push the bad guys back. And then we can have peace. Right? And this is the greatest irony that lefties never understand. We have peace because you are strong and you held on to your land. Therefore, you have peace. But they're like, could I, if you keep a little bit, right? And then they keep the rest, then we'll have peace. Because they're in such a Western model that peace comes through sharing, right? Through like, we both have claims.
Right, so we all feel better.
We all feel better because we have a little bit of the claim. And it sounds right, and it is logical. It's just incorrect. It has a logic, but it's not a correct logic, and it's certainly not Middle Eastern logic. Let's say, you give the Arabs all of Hebron, but you keep the Marat HaMachpelah. Yeah, right. You will not be able to keep the Marat Machpelah. They'll fight you for it forever. And they'll say, look, you know what I mean? They're still occupying our the Ibrahimi mosque. And it's like, no, the way to get the Arabs to calm down is you rule the place. It's yours. The ones that that respect your law can live here. And make it clear. And then they'll be like, okay. And now we have peace because they'll respect the fact that you're here strong and not weak. Any case, so that was two discussions that I had with folks touring in Hebron. Any thoughts on that, Malka? Or you're good with that?
No, I'm just listening. It's very interesting.
Now, then at the Knesset yesterday, Malka, I got to tell you two stories. First story is that at some point, two Knesset members surrounded Shmuley Boteach and his family that came in, and I I helped.
His whole family came?
He never travels alone. He's a chamula-ist.
I love that about him, actually.
Shmuley Boteach.
He is such a family man. It's really incredible.
He is all that.
He's one of the most family people I've ever seen.
I absolutely. Really, people don't know that, but the guy travels in family.
Like some people, when they want to get something done, they like put the family, to go do something else so that they can like get something done.
Right, which makes sense, right?
A lot of people do that. But for him, it's like he brings his family along to everything.
That's right.
He doesn't like lose any energy from that. It's really amazing.
Right. So Debbie was there and Menachem Mendel was there, and Shmuley came in because his son finished. The Beret March. The what we call the Masakumta. And he was in Israel for that, and he came into the Knesset, and at some point he was surrounded by these two Knesset members, and I introduced him. One was Yitzchak Kreuzer from Otzma Yehudit, the party that I work with, and one was Aryeh Kalner from the Likud. Two young Knesset members, like in their 30s, and Kalner says to Shmuley Boteach, I'm pushing a law right now. I already passed it in first reading to stop paying Israeli Social Security to jihadist terrorists, oftentimes murderers, who sit in our jails.
They get Social Security payments?
If they're Israeli Arabs.
Gewalt.
Right? And he's like, well, they've announced that they're actually part of a foreign army and they came to kill Jews as a
identifier with a foreign value and a foreign nation.
Right, and therefore we should stop paying them Israeli Social Security. So he's trying to pass that law. And the other guy, Kreuzer...
Well, there's a little bit of a precedent in that you can, under certain circumstances, you can take away the citizenship of Israeli Arabs who commit terrorism acts.
Right, this is a related law.
Right.
And then Kreuzer was like, yeah, I'm working to make protection rackets be more, they're illegal, but to make it like much harsher, the sentencing and the punishment and the identification of this crime, which is basically that like Bedouins and Arabs go around and say to businesses like bus companies and construction businesses and say, oh, you need our protection, right? Pay us 1,000 shekel a month, and then your businesses will be fine. And if not,
maybe they won't be fine.
Maybe they won't be fine, and they're oftentimes not. So like, and I was just like, wow, two young bucks, young Knesset members, and you could see the inner fire in their eyes, a drive, not fake, not to be famous, not to be super Twitter stars,
Right.
Out there being young, ideological parliamentarians, and I suddenly like caught that moment in my mind. It locked in. I was like, wow. Here's two young guys, two different parties, doing the good work. Their names aren't so famous. Most people don't know who they are, but I know. And I was just like, wow, you know what I mean? And I explained it to Shmuley, to Rabbi Shmuley, and he was impressed. And then, this is the best one. Down the hall comes Dr. Ahmed Tibi, one of the leading Arab Knesset members, and a long time, he was Yasser Arafat's aide. He keeps a big picture of Yasser Arafat in his office.
In his office in the Knesset?
In the Knesset. Speaking of paying terrorists, right? This guy,
mamash.
This guy gets a huge salary from the state of Israel.
And who knows from where else?
And he is a powerful enemy of the Jewish people from within our Knesset. I see him strolling down the hall, looking calm and collected as usual. And I say to Rabbi Shmuley, I'm like, hey, look, there's Ahmed Tibi. Maybe you want to, say hi to him for a second. He's, And I catch that Ahmed Tibi, with a politician's eye, just takes his eye, like,
catches him.
No, it just scans
scan.
left for like a microsecond. Scans the scene, sees who Shmuley Botech is standing with, which is ostensibly some right-wing folks. Catches the guy. Shmuley Botech comes right up to him, sticks out his hand, and he goes, hi, Dr. Ahmed Tibi, Customer Tibi, this is, my name is Shmuley Botech, and this and that. And he like thrusts his hand for a handshake. He shakes his hand, and he says to him something like, well, what do you do? And he says, I'm a rabbi in New York City. And Shmuley Botech says, I'm a rabbi in New York City. Without missing a beat, Ahmed Tibi says, well, no one's perfect. Drops the hand and keeps a walking. Wow. Keeps a walking. Boom! It was.
Ew.
And so then later.
Wow, it's a chutzpah. Whoa.
It was awesome.
Then what happened?
That's it. He just kept walking.
Nobody's perfect?
He just looked at him and goes, well, nobody's perfect. He goes, well, nobody's perfect. And he just kept walking. And it was
OMG.
It was so awesome. And then he goes, this Shmuley Botech says to me, he goes, well, but he certainly didn't win me over. I'm like,
win you over?
I don't think he was trying to win you over.
He would slash your tires if he was outside with your car right now.
Slash your tires, yeah. The point is that here's what happened.
Holy cow. I have never heard such a thing.
It was awesome. And Shmuley, who is, a brilliant, thinker and rhetorician, was dumbstruck.
Well, yeah.
He was dumbstruck. But my
what are you supposed to say?
But my favorite part of this all is the analysis. See, Shmuley Botech is out there, and he's like, okay, let me be cute.
Yeah. Not everybody loves cute.
Not only that, Ahmed Tibi I think he's many years, 20 years, I don't know, in the Knesset. He is a practiced hand. His eyes sharp. He's a sharp enemy of the Jewish people of Israel. And he sized up.
Right.
He sized up the situation in a microsecond. And he's like, oh, this little Jew is going to be, witty with me. He's going to be
gonna be friendly.
We're
not friends.
No, he's going to be wise with me. He's going to play like, look at me. I'm the rabbi. I know what's going on with you. He's like, no, we're in a war. We're in a jihad, and you're nothing. I'll step on you like a.
Whoa.
And that's where he's at. And I was so appreciative because I'm actually so appreciative of when the enemy is real
right.
instead of faking it. Had Ahmed Tibi been like, yes,
so nice to meet you.
Yeah,
yes.
and we got to fight for human rights and stuff like that. Blah blah blah. I would have been like, oh God, But the fact that he like showed his like.
That is unbelievable.
It was an awesome moment.
Wow.
When I say awesome, of course, I mean that
something to behold.
Yeah, it's something to behold, and it's real professional bad guys are something that, and they're good at their craft, is something that I respect, or I don't respect I am aware of their,
Wow.
Anyways, it was an awesome moment, and then I brought Shmuley and family to meet with Minister Ben-Gvir. It was very, very interesting. They had a great talk about fear. Shmuley very correctly identified that Israel lives still with a lot of fear.
Yeah.
And that's what, in many ways, Minister Ben-Gvir came to fight, which is the daily fear that Jews live with. Amalka, I did get a chance to speak myself to Shmuley Botech, Rabbi Shmuley Botech. So let's play that audio right now.
All right.
All right, folks, Yishai Fleisher here at the Knesset, and we're right outside the plenum waiting for the Minister Ben-Gvir, and I am with the one and only, we call him the Rabbi of America's Rabbi. America's Rabbi, of course.
Rabbi,
That's right.
Rabbi.
That's right, and it's the one and only Rabbi Shmuley Botech, and also what I call the Rebbe's emissary to Judea and Samaria and the right of the Jewish people in the land of Israel.
That's my most important title. I am the Rebbe's, me and Yossel Gutnick, self-appointed. He's appointed by the Rebbe. Yossel, if you're listening, self-appointed. I am the Rebbe Shliach V'Shleimut Haaretz. Not 1 inch. That's our motto. Not 1 inch.
That's right. And yet, let's start it slowly. First thing, you're here, obviously, to visit the land of Israel, but also you are here wearing a T-shirt in the Knesset that says, "We're so proud of you, Yosef. Your son today finished his hike that receives the beret, the Masakumta, for Sayeret Golani, a very elite unit."
People call me a fighter for the Jewish people. I appreciate the moniker, but I don't deserve it because it's the soldiers who are the real fighters. And I now have 3 children who've served in the IDF. My son Mendy is right next to me. He was in Pulsar Sheva. But today, our son Yosef, who is the 7th in the family, thank God, got his beret at Sayeret Golani. We could not be prouder. It was an uplifting, unforgettable afternoon, and it made me think of the 6 million and how we have a Jewish army now to ensure that never again isn't just a slogan, but it's a real commitment, never again.
Watch this transition. And yet, while your son is in Sayeret Golani, while we're in the Knesset in Jerusalem, yet you readily admit to me that there are no-go zones in Israel, that people face terrorism around here, that 15 people have been murdered in the past month in Israel just before being Jewish, etc. So there's the flip side is that the war continues. It's not that we just have these guys in cool berets and all that kind of stuff. No, they're actually active in fighting crime, and you wanted to meet some of the ministers that are fighting terrorism, jihadism.
Security, correct. 15 Jews murdered in a month. We Americans have to multiply that by 30. So you're talking, it would have been thousands of Americans dead. No democratic society would ever tolerate that. There would be an absolute uproar. But here in Israel, even in Israel, we've grown accustomed to the idea that Jewish blood is kind of cheap and that it's expected that Jews die. And that's the way Jews live in Israel. They live with terrorism. Where did we ever make that Faustian bargain that having a state means that we have to die? Herzl's original vision for the state of Israel was to give us a refuge from anti-Semitism. And if we don't even have that, then you have to say, God forbid, I mean, Chas v'sholom, I don't believe this, of course, but that the purpose of the state has failed, because first and foremost, it has to be about Jewish security.
Well, let's just call it not fully achieved, not failed.
Well, until the Jews feel completely safe in Israel, then we have not fully achieved the dream of our homeland, because Jewish life is valuable. What Israel did was give Jews a sense of value. What the Nazis did was show that the Jewish life has zero value. In Europe, it had a drop of value. Israel is about 100% value, that Jewish life is of infinite value. That can't be true if we walk to the Kotel and we're shot and killed. It can't be true if when I drive, as I did today for my son's ceremony in the Golan, people told me, don't go through Derech HaBikah, don't go through the Jordan Valley because you might end up dead. That can't be true that when my wife and I want to go to Ir David yesterday and we have to go the long way around through Shar Shechem, people say you may not survive that short 15-minute on Google Maps drive. Israel has to live up to its fullest commitment to protect Jewish life. And I honor those ministers who were prepared to do the hard work to make that happen.
We're not just fighting jihadism, but we're also fighting deep state. And there's a deep state in Israel that a lot of times pushes back against that. You could call it leftism, call it whatever you want. You call it complacency. But there's many times where it's been where people like Minister Ben-Gvir don't have an easy time changing the system. And there's a kind of an entrenched bureaucracy that wants to see things quiet, and they don't mind that there's no-go zones, and they allow these illegal houses to be built. And in short, we've allowed a lot of the stuff to happen in the Jewish state. So yes, there have been some failures, certainly.
Well, let's be clear. When it comes to someone like Minister Ben-Gvir, he's charged not only with protecting Jewish life, but all of the Arab Muslim lives who are citizens of the state of Israel. He gave a speech the other day that I only heard about because of this beautiful op-ed he wrote in Newsweek about an Arab police officer who was murdered, and he spoke at the funeral and he said that your family is part of me and I'm part of you. You have to remember when we speak about the erosion of security here in Israel, it doesn't only affect Jewish lives, it affects Arab lives. They also end up dead and murdered. And all of these genocidal organizations that are arrayed against Israel with threats of annihilation, whether it's the mullahs in Tehran to Israel's east, or whether Israel's north is Hezbollah, or Israel's east is the west is Hamas. They are committed to the annihilation of the state of Israel, which also has 1.4 million Arab citizens. If we get, God forbid, an Iranian nuke on Israel, it's not going to suddenly only affect the radiation poisoning. Doesn't only affect Jews; it affects everybody. So the world, the community of nations, has to stop pretending that Israel only protects Jewish life. It protects every Christian life, every atheist life, every Greek Orthodox life, every Muslim life.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit something that's a little closer. This is home, but you also live in the United States, so I wouldn't say closer to home, but then I wanted to check myself because this is home, Eretz Yisrael. But your home is also, your domicile is the America. You love America. You're America's rabbi, etc. It's a great country. And yet, its greatness is a little bit tinged these days with anti-Semitism, with fear on campus, with a sense that the media is against us. Certainly, the folks at the White House, we don't feel on this end. I'll say it from my perspective, we don't feel that they're with us exactly, and with are much more with our enemies, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a boiling tension that's under there, and there's a boiling tension for American Jewry who, in many cases, is not feeling as safe and as comfortable as they used to. Let's talk about that a little.
There's an outbreak of anti-Semitism in the United States, public, that has no precedent. When you have some of the most famous celebrities like Kanye West. Kanye West is one of the 3 or 4 most famous African-American celebrities in the United States. When he can speak open, and I'm very close to the black community, and we have such strong bonds of spiritual connection, a shared persecution with the black community. When you have a celebrity like him saying that he loves Hitler killed 10,000 Jews every single day for 4 years. That's extremely troubling. But let's be clear. Yishai, I want to turn the tables on you for a moment. We know we have a problem in the United States, but if 14 Jews had been murdered in the United States the way they've been murdered in Israel over the past month, the American government would be convening Biden would have been going to each one of these places. He would have been convening, even Biden. Just this past Thursday had a giant conference about the growth of anti-Semitism. I was invited Friday, Erev Shabbat, I couldn't do it because I was here in Israel, for a White House phone call about anti-Semitism. If 14 Jews were murdered in the United States, the American government would be up in arms. Here in Israel, it's almost like you can kind of accept it.
Okay.
Let's also remember, when 11 Jews were murdered at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, President Trump went straight there. I remember that Ron Dermer, who just passed by over here, he was our ambassador at the time. He flew on Air Force One with President Trump there. So there was an outbreak of anti-Semitism, but we're not going to tolerate 14, 15 Jews dying. It's almost like here in Israel, it's expected that terrorism is going to murder us. We don't expect that in the United States. And American police, the police, law enforcement, FBI, they would all be going crazy if 15 Jews were murdered. So there is a great outbreak of anti-Semitism, but Israel's got to stop this belief that it's de rigueur. This is something to be expected.
Okay, that's all true, but yet still I want to go back to a point, though.
Yes.
Which is, and I saw it, I was just recently at the Chabad House in Tallahassee, FSU, and the youth there are not feeling good. And they're not feeling that they could show their Judaism without them being attacked. That's what's happening there.
My mother died a month ago. Me and my son, Mendy, and Mendy's the head of it, we just launched the Jewish Defense Network, JDN, because Jews are not feeling secure. Let me tell you something.
Why does that name sound familiar? I don't know why. Why is that?
We have students on campus who are afraid to wear kippot. We have the delegitimization of the American Jewish community. We have the demonization of the American Jewish community. We have open anti-Semites like Rashida Tlaib and Ilan Omar who just trade in Jewish tropes that Jews are bloodsuckers and Jews are greedy and Jews are money grubbers, etc.
It's all about the Benjamins.
And it's astonishing that these people are lawmakers. And that it's also astonishing that many of our allies in the Democratic Party, and we have many allies in the Democratic, let's remember that support for Israel is bipartisan in the United States, but many of our closest allies just voted to keep Ilan Omar on the Foreign Relations Committee, which is also an outrage. But the biggest problems we face is absolutely on campus, and any campus that allows BDS to flourish should be defunded by the federal government. And to President Trump's credit, he tried to do that, his administration. Why are these universities that are allowing the delegitimization of Israel? Listen, we want to see freedom of speech on campus, but we don't want to see student governments and the pension funds and investment funds of universities saying that they're going to boycott Israel. They shouldn't be getting any federal funding.
Come on. We know it when we see it. We're not talking about freedom of speech. We're talking about bullying. We're talking about kids not feeling safe anymore. I talk to kids. They tell me that there's swastikas all over the bathrooms in high schools in New Jersey, that pennies are being thrown at them. There's a change.
I have no issue with people getting up on campus and saying, I don't like Israel. I have an issue when these universities are getting federal funds when they boycott Israel. Mm-hmm. That is against most of state statutes. New York, my friend former Governor Andrew Cuomo was one of the first to pass a law. You boycott Israel, we boycott here in New York. Why are any of the universities getting any kind of funding? As far as the harassment of Jewish students, as far as the bullying of Jewish students, of course they have to be protected. Of course this should never be allowed. We can't have Jewish students afraid to wear any kind of Jewish symbols publicly on campuses, and this is happening everywhere. All I'm saying is we also have to see a grassroots effort on the part of Jewish students themselves to fight back against this.
Right.
You know, the Adelson, the amazing late Sheldon Adelson of blessed memory, and his wife, the world's foremost Jewish philanthropist, Miriam Adelson, They launched Campus Maccabees, the Maccabees Task Force, to try to fight this. That was something that me and Miri helped to create together with other people as well. We need to see Hillel engaging in the battle. We need to see Chabad engaging in the battle. Unfortunately, a lot of the Jewish organizations decide up front, the Jewish student organizations, that Israel is toxic, and therefore if they defend Israel, no one's going to come. I have a lot of Chabad rabbis.
I.e., they've succumbed to the anti-Semitic narrative.
Right, and they think that a lot of Chabad rabbis are saying to me, listen, I want students to keep Shabbat. They're not going to come for chicken soup if I have an Israeli flag.
I want to tell you, though, that the Chabad rabbi that I was with, Oirichman, told me the opposite. He said when a kid goes to Israel for the year, or for a summer, or for a trip, he comes back stronger and is more willing to go to Chabad and is a prouder Jew. That's what he told me. And he said to me, look at this guy. This guy wasn't, for 3 years, he was on campus, he wasn't in my Chabad. He went to Israel for a week. He came back, now he's a strong Jew, and he's a strong at the Chabad
well, that's
here on
why
campus.
I believe in Birthright, because Birthright allows these students who hear these false narratives on campus to come and see the beauty of majestic democratic Israel. You know, I'm staying at a hotel near Mamilla Mall. You go there any single night, you will see Arab women dressed to the nines, beautifully attired. No, the idea that anyone would harass them, bother them, everyone is so happy to see them. The idea that Israel's an apartheid state is one of the greatest libels, one of the greatest blood libels against the Jewish people in history. And you have to come here to see it. To the contrary, sadly, it's Jews who are told that with big red signs, if you go into this Arab village, you are going to die. You know, I brought the former chief spokesperson for the United States military worldwide, Dana White, to Israel. And she's an African-American woman, and
I remember that trip.
When she first saw these actual signs telling Israelis, do not go into Jericho because you are going to die, she took a picture next to it and said, I can't believe this. I can't believe that the Israeli government is advertising to Israeli citizens, if you go here, we can't protect you, you're going to die. But so seeing the reality on the ground it's transformative. So Birthright does that. Chabad does it too. I'm very proudly Chabad, but I do think Chabad has to be much more forcefully engaged in the fight for Israel on campus.
The Chabad just had a huge trip called The Spirit in the Land, or The Land in the Spirit. Yeah. And it was through JLI, and they came to Hebron big time, great. 750 people. And I don't know many organizations, maybe ZOA. It was very beautiful to see them.
It is, and I'll let them take Israeli flags and put them up at all the Chabad houses.
And that's one of your fights is with Chabad, which you...
The Rebbe was the proudest Jew, and he loved Israel with every fiber of his being. There is no Jewish leader in our time that spoke more passionately and more forcefully about Israel not surrendering a centimeter, a millimeter of land more than the Rebbe. More than any of the Mitnachalim, more than any of their leaders, the Rebbe said, Tchilat nifila nisa, that any kind of surrender of land brings about a surrender of the nation, God forbid. And Chabad has to emphasize that point.
Great points. Rabbi Shmuley Botech, thank you so much for joining me here at the Knesset. Any second now, the minister is going to come out, and I want you to have time to meet him. Keep on fighting the fight. You're bringing your children to be warriors here in the land of Israel. Both they're strongly Jewish and also strong fighters. That's really the combination of this time, which is to be a Jew in the land of Israel and also to be a Jew in your neshama and your Torah. It's amazing.
I've given my children a drop of Jewish pride. They've given me much more in return. My son Mendy, standing right next to me, served as an elite combat soldier and continues in the Miluim in the reserves. He was also an elite BDS fighter at NYU. He was also shliach of the Rebbe in Frankfurt, Germany. Go and try that, Yishai Fleisher. Go and try to be an emissary on the streets of Frankfurt, Germany. He did that. I'm very proud of him. I'm very proud of all of our children. My daughter Chana, who was the first of our children to serve in the IDF. And by the way, the IDF, oh my God, the majestic Israel Defense Forces. What a crowning achievement of the Jewish people, a first Jewish army since the Maccabees.
Absolutely. It is an amazing thing. And so thank you very much for being here with me. And big Yashar Koach, and we'll see you in America. We'll see you here in Israel. We'll see you all over the world, because our message is spreading. We're going to fight that anti-Semitism, but we're going to spread love and strength and the light that is Israel and the Jewish people, and the time for the Torah to spread to the world. So thank you very much.
You know, I should also just say...
Go ahead, one last thing.
I was with you at about 1 a.m. Shavuot, and I come to Israel for Shavuot because my father's yahrzeit is a few days before Shavuot. You gave the most brilliant Tvar Torah. It was so brilliant, I can't even repeat it. But I'm serious. I didn't know you were such a great Torah teacher. Do you remember you did it over like 5 minutes, and you were going to mikvah, and I was blown away, Yishai Fleisher. I thought you were just great at PR. No. I didn't realize you're such a great Torah teacher.
Actually, the thing inside that drives me every day is the Torah, is the text. That's what I love.
I saw it that night.
That's what I really live inside. And that's why I work in Hebron. That's where it all comes from. Rabbi Shmuley Botech, thanks so much.
Yishai, where you go, I will go. Your people are my people. I don't want to be buried next to you because we're both going to live until Mashiach comes. But the rest of that verse applies. Okay.
All right, folks, we're back. Malka, that was it was a fun talk there with Shmuley Botech,
Yeah.
am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Malka, I also wanted to tell you that today's show is dedicated to somebody very special. That's right, something very special, which is Batya Yona Bat Yosef Levinson, which is my good friend Yochevet's mother.
Ah, yes.
And so she passed away this last week at a ripe old age and a very, very strong life, a very successful life, and an
Beloved by
organized
her
life.
family.
Beloved by family and friends, and respected for being just a strong, a mentally strong and achieving person. And so it was. It's an honor to today to name this to dedicate the show to her. And I also just, I met her many times, and she had a great influence on Yocheved, who was, one of the people behind the whole Yishai Fleisher and Kuma,
Right, sure. Long time partner.
That's right. And so it's an honor today to dedicate the show to Batya Yona, who I had also I also helped the process of making sure that she had a Hebrew name.
Oh.
And so, Batya Yona Bat Yosef Levinson, God bless your soul, and thank you so much for your great family, your great work on this earth, and we honor your memory and continue to do good work in your name here in the
Right, that's right. And may your offspring be healthy and successful, and driven with a great mission, and live to a ripe old age.
Yafet. Chawara, back in the news.
Yeah.
There was a shooting again in Chawara, and this time though, the bad guys picked the wrong guy to mess with. And I want to tell you that when I first heard the story, I was like, "Oh my god!" Turns out that a terrorist shot at a car right at the front window.
The car basically slowed down to let him walk by. There was a pedestrian, and he was starting to walk out into the street, so they slowed down so that he could walk ahead. Mm-hmm. And then he turned around
and began shooting
and
right
shot
at the head
their
of
windshield.
the driver. Right. Happened to be that he was shooting at a U.S. Marine, a martial artist, a highly trained warrior. And this trained warrior, David Stern, who a lot of people in the Anglo community know, was injured in the head, managed to take out his gun, shoot back at the bad guy.
Through his own windshield.
Through his windshield. Then, having identified that he had been wounded, was able to put on himself a
tourniquet.
Tourniquet.
Which he had on him.
Sure. And the bad guy was apprehended soon afterwards because he was bleeding and he had been hit.
They found him, yeah.
Yeah. David Stern came back yesterday after spending some time in the hospital in a sheer and utter miracle. That
there's so many components to the miracle. His wife was also in the car. And she was she was treated for shock, basically, because of the shocking experience that she went through. But aside from that, she was okay. And he was shot in the head. Israel just buried a person who was shot in the head.
That's right.
Or Ashkar,
right,
who was a 2-time Iron Man. Mm-hmm. And he was just walking down the street. The videos circulated. It was something like almost 2 weeks ago now.
In Tel Aviv.
And he was looking at his cell phone.
Yeah.
And he totally missed it. He got shot in the head, and he's under the soil of the land of Israel now. Mm-hmm. And David Stern also got shot in the head.
I think it's Stern.
Stern. Okay. Yeah. And he was welcomed home yesterday in a large and boisterous. It's funny because lately we've only been seeing Israeli flags in the hands of anti-coalition people who have been fighting the judicial reform. They're against the coalition. They're against the reform. And they've commandeered the Israeli flag for that purpose. But yesterday we saw videos from David Stern's house. He was brought home in what's called a shayara, which is everyone driving together caravan.
The caravan, yeah.
Of cars, including Rav Shatzim, heads of security from local towns,
right,
who all came to escort him home in their cars.
Right.
And a big, long procession of cars drove him all the way from the hospital in Jerusalem all the way to his home in Samaria. And standing, waiting for him, was his whole community out in the street, children, moms, dads, everybody, nighttime, black outside, so eagerly waiting for him, waving Israeli flags. And he got out of the car on his own 2 feet. He has a sling, one arm in a sling, because he was also shot in the arm, and a bandage still on his head. And he walked out of the car and was received with songs and with hugs, and speeches were made about their gratitude and the greatness of living in the land of Israel, waving Israeli flags. It was really beautiful.
Amazing. I mean, Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem, really.
When I first heard the story, it was coming out that
that he was shot.
That he was shot. Like the first moments you hear the story, I was like, I just turned to Hashem. I was like, this is not fair. This guy, he's known as Ninja Dave. Okay. And I was like, this is not fair. This guy's been a practicing warrior all his life. God, you didn't give him a chance to fight back. But then information came back, which is like, for some reason, the gun was found in the middle of the road.
Right.
And that was immediately like, why, the terrorists dropped the gun? That doesn't make sense. And then it started trickling out. No, he actually shot back at him. No, and he's actually somehow soon afterwards we heard that though the bullets grazed his head, hit his head, did not kill him. And did not
harm his brain.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I, over the course of time, I've developed a belief that when you hear about a terror attack, I want to share this out there, and we should never hear of another one. So this should be really, really impractical, time-wasting advice.
Mm-hmm.
But if in the case that it should ever happen again, that there's another terror attack,
right?
I think it's important. This sounds obvious, but it's actually not so obvious. It's important to stop and pray.
Right.
A lot of times when we hear about a terror attack, it's like, oh my gosh, that's awful, awful. Checking the news, right? But if you think about it, when you're getting this information, there's a person whose like life is hanging in the balance at that moment. Mm-hmm. They need you at that moment. Mm-hmm. Take 10 minutes. I handed out to my kids Tehillim. They read just a few. They each read like 5 or 6 Tehillim. Just to like
Psalms.
And Psalms, and frankly, like also for yourself, right, to be a part. You know what I mean? Be a part of trying to bring a little bit of healing for a second. And maybe you don't say Psalms or whatever. Maybe you just turn in your own language and say, God, please, you know what I'm saying? Help this person, help their family, make a miracle for them, make it so that they're not really so injured. Bring them back. Destroy their enemies. Like, take a moment. You're in a business meeting. Excuse me, everybody. There was a terror attack. We're just going to take 60 seconds. 60 seconds. You don't have to give your whole day to it. But just take 60 seconds. And then you also get to be that kind of person. Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh Lazeh. All the Jewish people are involved with each other, right? Or responsible for each other.
And friends of the Jews.
And friends of the Jewish people. You can all be part of it. We should be not detached. It doesn't mean you have to take in the suffering and live as if you're the family member of this person living in terror and not going to sleep. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm just saying, take a moment and see what you can do for the bringing the positive energy.
That's right. And that happened yet again, this terror attack in Hawara.
Right.
Now, the Hawara story of the Jews coming down and burning some stuff in Hawara. It turned out to be a lot less than what everybody claimed. And in the beginning, there was a claim that somebody was killed. That was debunked, and that never happened, and all kinds of stuff. But again, it happened in Hawara. Hawara is in Samaria, in northern Samaria. It's close to Shechem, or so-called Nablus. I'm just making sure everybody understands what I'm talking about. That's where Joseph is buried. That's where there's beautiful communities of Yitzhar, Habracha, Itamar, very beautiful places. And one Knesset member in the Otzma party was able to pass a law to undo the disengagement. By the way, how do you undo disengagement?
What's the disengagement?
The disengagement was the 2005 process by which Jews were evicted from northern Samaria and from the Gaza Strip. And there was a law that Jews were basically not allowed to live and travel in the north
Right, to be there at all. You're not supposed to be there.
Right, that's a disengagement law. And somebody gave me the idea of what is the opposite of the disengagement law? The engagement law, right?
Right.
And it was like, it's engagement. It's re-engagement. Re-engagement, not disengagement. And this Knesset member, her name is Limor Sonhar Melech, her husband was killed in a terror attack in Chumash. She was injured as well. You could still see even a scar. She has a scar from it. The reason I mention this is because I saw her yesterday in the Knesset and I said, Limor, like, wow. You know, what a
beautiful
skirat ma'agal.
opportunity for her personally. Incredible.
What a closing of a loop.
Right.
Like, your husband was killed there in these places. Jews were kicked out, and you've passed a law now to re-allow Jewish people to live in these places.
Or at least to start to be in these
right,
places.
That's right. You're right.
Because they're not building. They're not,
Right.
not supposed to run over there tomorrow and start building.
She cried. She cried when I told her that.
Oh.
She was like, yeah, you don't know how moving this is for me, that I was able to fix this. And for us, who the whole disengagement was a very formative thing. We were there in 2005, and now in 2023 to see it reversed,
Right. Yeah.
is very moving. However, that has also brought in a lot of discourse about what the Jewish yearnings are. Because, and here is this law, which is the return to Samaria law. And then there were statements made by Minister Smotrich, which were...
well, he didn't just make statements. He was standing behind a podium with a map.
Right. Well, there was basically three things. First, he said, and then he apologized for a statement about, Hawara should burn, something like that. And what he really meant, but I think, and he clarified it, and I think very fairly, is he said, yeah, like the terrorists, the bad guys, and the army should get rid of the bad guys. I really think that that's what he meant. But that statement came out that upset both the Arabs, and the Americans, and then he made yet another statement, standing behind a map of the Israel plus Jordan, the original
the greater
map.
land of Israel.
Well, it's to be more accurate, it's the mandate for Palestine original map, what became later Jordan and Israel, but originally was supposed to be just Israel. He was standing behind the picture of that map, and he said, "There is no Palestinian people. It's a made up construct." I think what he meant by that is not that there's no people today that identify as Palestinian, because it's obvious that there is. I think what he was saying is there's no historic Palestine. I think that statement is true.
Right. Or if there's a nation of Palestine, it is a modernly created nation.
Right. But those statements, together with the law, together with the fact that Ramadan is starting today,
right,
all together, let's say the weather outside the temperature is cool, but the politics is hot right now. The situation is hot in Israel. And I was actually I was interviewed on I-24 yesterday to talk about this stuff and to talk about this law, the disengagement law, the re-engagement law, or the override of disengagement.
Yes.
The re-engagement law.
Yeah.
And also about the future of Israel and the Gaza Strip. So let's take a listen to my discussion yesterday on I-24.
I believe that the withdrawal sin will be fixed. We are in a process of national understanding. I don't know how many years it will take, unfortunately. The return to the Gaza Strip will include many casualties, as was the departure from the Gaza Strip. There's no doubt that Gaza is a part of Israel, and a day will come when we will return to that area.
Look, Yishai, as you're aware, a lot of questions and concerns around what's happening right now. Prime Minister Netanyahu, on the other hand, saying there will be no new settlements. Do you agree? Where's this issue going? Is this a breakthrough moment for the settlement movement? What's going to happen?
First thing, David, it's great to come to you from the Knesset. I'm one of the kind of smoking areas right outside of the Knesset building. And I'm very proud today to be able to discuss the repeal of the, let's call it evil or incorrect or broken disengagement law of 2005 that kicked Jews out of their ancestral homeland in Gaza and also in northern Samaria. I went to the army
I served in the paratroopers. Our training base was in Sanur, which was this beautiful area in northern Samaria. Suddenly came this law. I called it disengagement law. It was really the Americans were very much in favor of it, and they pushed it along. And the Jewish people in Israel said this is a bad idea. We said the voters of the Likud, had a referendum. We said no, it's a bad idea to kick Jews out of these places. First thing, it's our ancestral homeland, and second, you're going to create a terror state in these places. That's exactly what happened. We were kicked out of our homeland. It was undermined our ancestral rights, and at the same time empowered the jihad to take over Gaza. And then we've had already since then, you could count it, maybe 5 wars. It's hard to count because there's been so many mini wars along there as well. Basically, we were promised that we were going to get security. Quote unquote settlers, people that don't believe that land giveaway to the jihad is a good idea, said we're just going to get rockets rained upon us. That's exactly what happened. Finally, this Knesset in 2023 repealed that law of the disengagement. And now we're going to have free access to move in our ancestral homeland in northern Samaria.
Is that the next step, Yishai? Will there be new settlements established soon?
We'll see about that. You saw the statement by Prime Minister Netanyahu. But the simple fact is that the law says we'll be able to travel there, drive through there, have picnics there. You'll be able to go to places like Chomish and Sanur. Surely, I think it's no secret that Jews that believe in the integrity of the ancestral homeland, what I call the heartland of the Holy Land, want to see our communities rebuilt there.
Yishai, I want to put this to you in a different way here right now. And of course, all the things you're mentioning, you're right. The ideas behind the 2005 withdrawals that were supposed to create an environment that would foster peace. Yeah, that hasn't happened, and we're fully aware that really nothing positive has been developed on the ground. But what are the prospects for long-term peace? Separation, call it, avoiding a one-state solution from the Palestinians who aspire to national independence in these areas. Where does it go with them?
That's a big question. That's a big question. We don't believe that the Palestinians have a right for national self-determination on our ancestral homeland. The Arab world is huge, much bigger than the United States. It's got 400 million Arabs, 22 Arab countries, and more Muslim states as well. This small portion of the Middle East is our ancestral homeland. It's so recognized by international law in 1917, 1920, 1922. The mandate for Palestine was a mandate for a Jewish Palestine. And so we believe that this is our land, and we believe that actually the way towards peace is not by giving up and allowing elements like the jihad to take over your land and then fight wars with them from within your own land, but it's to be strong in the Middle East. That's the way you make it around here. You hold onto the line, you make sure that your tribal lands stay strong, and then you reach out like the Abraham Accords to fellow Arab countries, to our fellow Semitic cousins, and say to them, okay, let's have a strong Jewish state surrounded by strong Arab states. And that's actually the way forward to regional peace.
Yishai, I got to get your thoughts on Gaza. Are you advising, or is Minister Ben-Gvir, is Gaza the next push? To sort of repeal the laws prohibiting settlement in Gaza?
Look, the reality is that today Gaza, sadly, is a jihadistan, a Hamasistan, and it's got 2 million Arabs. They are under the thumb of the Hamas. It would be nice to liberate them from this evil regime. Like, it's a little bit like Afghanistan over there. I don't think there's any plans for that right now, and we'll keep on bleeding and fighting with the rockets and with the issues that come out of there, because we made a historic mistake. It's not so easy to rectify that. But northern Samaria is much easier to rectify. There isn't a huge Hamas population there.
Don't worry, the Yishai Fleisher show will be right back, so stay tuned.
Okay, so...
Good job, Yishai.
Yeah, so...
I like that guy, the interviewer guy.
He's okay, Dave.
Yeah,
he's
okay.
all right.
He's
all
okay.
right. He's all right. He's fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's okay. Yeah. All I need is like a just give me a fair shake. That's
Yeah.
all. There's
You
that.
mean let people say the things that they want to say when you bring them on the show?
Yeah. Speaking of that,
Yeah.
speaking of people saying what they want to say when you're bringing on the show, we got an email from a lot of people.
Ooh.
We got an email from Sender. Serene. I don't know. Serene in New York City. And Serene writes, Dear Yishai and Malka, your last 2 podcasts were absolutely fantastic.
Ooh, thank
in
you.
every respect.
Wow. Thanks so much.
And she adds, I guess, she says, the rhetoric that Gantz and Lapid used today in response to Bibi's comments regarding the protest was beyond atrocious. Particularly Gantz, who had gone from warning about a civil war that he is speaking into existence to now saying it is currently happening. Both of these men are speaking civil war into existence. I am literally flabbergasted and deeply saddened. She goes on, it is fine for people to be against the judicial reform, but not to incite the public, particularly from their leadership positions, to civil war. Their speaking civil war into existence is so beyond the realm of acceptability, it truly makes me question whether they are Jewish. Hitler would literally pay them both billions of dollars to do what they are doing if he were still alive.
Ooh.
All right. There's
controversial.
That's right. It's strong words. But the point is that in simple terms, why promote?
Right. You're destroying the country. You're destroying the Jewish state that we work so hard for.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Another thought here called Thoughts on Protests in Israel from Bert. Hello. One thing you must know is that these protests are not being led from the inside of Israel. This is not normal politics. This is paid for and driven by people from the outside. The George Soros and the Bill Gates and the WEF, World Economic Forum, does not care about right and wrong. They are not one of the tribes of Israel. So why are they paying for and funding the protest? Just like in the States, Uncle George paid people to protest. He physically hired them to go out and be agitators. This whole thing is following the exact playbook that was used once President Trump was elected. People like you are playing by the rules in normal political decorum. The folks driving this thing have something else in mind and do not care about regular political decorum. So you cannot apply normal political thinking to this event. Keep up the good work, Bert.
Thank you, Bert.
I think both of those emails have truth in them, that's for sure.
I mean, it's good that people can see that this is not, like, there's some people who really think that this is all about democracy. They're still, like, stuck in there.
Right.
And it's good that some people can see through all that.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Realize that this is not about preserving democracy. I mean, this is about preserving democracy, but the people who are against judicial reform are not the people who are trying to preserve democracy.
That's right, Malka.
They're trying to preserve secular liberalism in a country that's increasingly interested in being a Jewish country.
Right. That's right. And there's just a tension. And in fact, there's a great video that I saw of Tel Aviv style protesters next to ultra-Orthodox protesters. The ultra-Orthodox are in a big circle and they're like dancing and singing their kind of protest song, and the Israeli flag people are waving the Israeli flag, and the Tel Aviv folks, that's what they're doing over there, and they're yelling "Busha, Busha, shame!" And the other ones are singing some kind of Jewish song like "We will not be overcome." And I
put that up on social media. Right?
I put that up on social media, and I thought it was I thought that it kind of showed the two different tribes that we have here in Israel at the same time, and I made a joke out of it. I said, "Look, it's it's Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and here's these two different tribes doing their devotion dances. One is devoting to democracy, the other one is devoted to God, and they're in close proximity, kind of Jews." It just goes to show you, though, that really it's all about what is in your software, what's running in your head. What's running in your head is everything. Yeah, it really is everything. Malka, I do want to say to you that we. Thanks so much to the folks that makes the show happen, like Yocheved Seidman, Moshe Herman, Ben Bresky, Tabitha, and Lewin were live. These guys make the show happen. All right? And we have excellent sponsors of the show. But I want to tell you that we have a new one, and I'm very excited about that. I'm excited that we have a new advertiser/sponsor of the show, which is Kosher Cycle Tours.
Woo!
That's right, Malka.
Tell me about it.
It is a road cycling tour company that caters to Jewish cyclists. Founded by a Orthodox road cyclist, the company aims to provide you with fabulously rewarding, well-supported riding experiences in Europe and in Israel.
Wow.
Along with great kosher food.
Yeah, kosher food.
Minyanim, which is prayer quorums, wonderful Shabbos experience, and more. For 2023, KCT, Kosher Cycle Tours.
Nice.
Is offering tours in the Holy Land and in Europe. Our destinations and routes offer, we said, you have beautiful mountain views and iconic climbs, passos, mountain passes, and Dolomites,
what are that?
Coles,
what are Dolomites?
Mountain passes in the Alps, and climbs through. That's the problem, Malka. You don't know because you haven't been on a kosher cycle.
Well, maybe I will.
Okay, through the Alps. through the Alps, and for the super tour, you could go from the Alps all the way to Israel. No, I made that up, but that would be amazing. Okay, in the Alps, to climb through Israel, we also reach the lowest points on Earth, to the Dead Sea. Our goal is that you tour with us. The tour will be exhilarating and rewarding. And if you're looking to stretch yourself, we are here to help you reach new heights. Pun intended. Okay,
Nice.
so koshercycletours.com.
That sounds great. Wow. With Pesach coming up, it sounds like something fun to look into for the family.
Yeah, but I think it's for people who, I think there is definitely family and everything.
It's for like
but
many day trips.
It's for people who want to do some serious cycling. You know what I mean? And really want great bicycles.
Well, you're trying hard to burn off the matzahs. Matzah has like one little matzah has like 350 calories.
Does it? Yeah.
It's so unfair.
Oh my God.
I mean, maybe that's part of the genius of it. It's like a high calorie on the go food.
Well, maybe it bespeaks of the fact that it is highly compact and potent.
Yeah, nutrient dense.
Not just nutrients.
Oh, spiritually dense.
It's a spiritually dense thing. It's like That's right. Don't be spiritually dense. Be spiritually dense. You know what I mean? Spiritual density.
Which is my band name.
Spiritual density. That's a funny what's it called? Not idiosyncrasy. What's it called? When something conflicts with itself.
Irony?
No, hold on. There's another word. Any case, whatever. I got stuck on that word, but it doesn't matter. I'm sure it'll give a chance for folks to write in, and I want people to write in. YishaiFleisher.com. So that's Kosher Cycle Tours, and that's awesome, and we're proud that they're joining us on the sponsorship circle here. This the fun sponsorship circle that is on the Yishai Fleisher Show. And we have many other folks that make this show happen, including the delectables offered to you at Prohibition Pickle.
Prohibition Pickle.
That's right. You cannot go on without a little bit of
Yishai,
Prohibition Pickle.
how good was the chopped liver and challah sandwich that I made you this week out of Prohibition Pickle?
I became
chopped
such
liver.
a better Jew in one shot. You had chali.
Yeah,
okay?
chali bread. Yeah,
chali bread with a liberal smattering of chopped liver, and then you had.
I felt like I was a good wife when I put that.
And you had these
together.
little cherry tomatoes grown in Israel.
Yes.
And then what else did you have on there?
A little bit of harif.
Of course. That's
spicy sauce.
I need a little spicy sauce. What's our spicy sauce called?
You like sriracha.
Sriracha.
You have shockingly, in like the last 6 months, gone through pretty much single-handedly an entire bottle of sriracha.
I like spiciness. And so that was from Prohibition Pickle. That was an excellent product from them. Really, their chopped liver, top notch.
I, of course, had my cauliflower, my fermented cauliflowers.
It's cauliflower crunch. That's what I like to call
so
it.
good.
It's so crunchy. You're like, I hear you in the kitchen.
My tongue. It's like low cal.
Yeah.
You got the pickliness. My gut's happy.
Oh, do you know that there's a Jewish tradition to make pickled products right before Pesach, very carefully, so you don't have any chametz in it, but pickled, what's it called? Fermented pickles.
Pickles.
Yeah, pickles and other things for Passover, because the Sadducees did not believe that people should eat fermented pickles.
The Sadducees being
like the Bible literalists.
The people who rejected the oral Torah, basically.
Right, exactly.
They said that only the written Torah is the law.
Right, so they interpreted that you're not allowed to have even any pickled stuff instead of just from grains. And the rabbis were like, no, that's wrong, and therefore you should eat pickles on Passover. Eat pickles on Passover. Did you ever hear that?
No. I always thought I'd heard one different thing. I don't know where it comes from, that you're not supposed to eat things with chometz, with vinegar, because it sounds like chametz.
Well,
but I like your one better.
Yeah, eat the vinegar. Eat that stuff, okay?
But that's Jewish for you. One guy's like, you absolutely should not be eating this one thing.
Right, and the other guy's like,
what are you, the thing that I'm going to be eating the whole time.
Right, what's with you? What are you, a Sadducee? What's going on with you? All right. Anyway, or a Karaite, whatever. Okay, so that's our good friends at Prohibition Pickle. Chopped liver order for this Shabbat. It is fabulous.
This is a very good week to make orders, by the way,
Oh,
at
my
Prohibition
God.
Pickle, because you know that like your friends are sweating to clean for Pesach,
That's right.
and you want to like make it easier, bring them a meal.
That's
and
right.
Chaim has very good cooked food. Also, we talk a lot about the pickles, but
So if you're a Gentile,
yeah,
and
he
you
makes all
love,
kinds of yummy cooked
if
food.
you're a Gentile and you love your friends in Israel, you know this week and next week are the tough weeks to make food because we're so busy cleaning up the house and there's a whole kitchen problem. There's like this intermediate zone.
Don't talk. I
So-
just got a little nervous
little
feeling
knot.
in my
You
stomach.
got a little Jewish knot. Okay. All I'm saying is this is a good time to send your friends some Prohibition Pickle, prohibitionpickle.co.il. Also, it's also time. This is all about, today's the day of time. Today's when time begins. Rosh Chodesh.
Yes.
Rosh Chodesh Nisan is when the clock starts, and therefore there's nothing more retro, more back to basics than Retro Watch Guy.
Nice.
Where the clocks start.
That's
okay?
right.
And here I am wearing my Tissot. See there?
Nice. There she is.
There she is right there, okay? And you can get a retro watch from Retro Watch Guy. And just this is the day to do it. If you're going to buy a watch, this is the day. I bought my watch on Rosh Chodesh.
Nice. Plus, it's
Nisan.
nice to give. You're supposed to get like presents for people on Pesach.
Yeah, when was the last time you got your husband a present? He's always getting you a present.
I got you a present.
What? Mm-hmm. Oh, dingly-doo.
It wasn't a watch because you already have a watch that you really love.
I'm excited. Is it a new Ferrari? Vroom,
Did you
vroom,
want a
vroom.
new Ferrari?
No, I want an older one.
I'm saving up for that.
with the
I have
gated
my little
gearbox.
nickel jar.
I want to
just
put that. I
waiting
want to put that
it into a
Ferrari.
Ferrari
I
for
want to
you.
put that Ferrari into 6th gear. I just want that to happen one time in my life. I just want to be like.
Listeners, whoever out there has a Ferrari, please invite Yishai over to put
I
the
have
thing
friends
into
with
6th gear.
Ferraris, so they just never actually take it out. That's the problem with Ferraris. They're always like, look at
Where
my
are you
Ferrari.
gonna go? Where are you gonna go? Next to Target and drive around in the parking lot? Like, there's nowhere to go.
Not a bad idea, Malka. Not a bad idea. Okay, and then what else do we got, Malka? We got the good folks. So that's Prohibition Pickle. That's Retro Watch Guy. That's Kosher Cycle Tours.
We got the Israel Bible.
The Israel Bible. That we're about to get to the right. That's right. Let's get to the Bible. Get your own Bible at Israel365.com. Your own Israel. I got a lot of stuff in my head right now, so it's easy for me to get confused. The Israel Bible is made by the folks at Israel365.
Yes, you said that.
But it's found at theisraelbible.com and coupon code Yishai for one of the most beautiful Bibles that you could own. So it's just that simple. It's a winning product. It's fabulous. And if we're talking already about Israel365.com, which is a wonderful website for biblical perspective news on the land of Israel, there's also 2 websites which we're associated and affiliated with, which we're very proud of. One is jns.org. Very powerful, excellent email, on the ball, analysis, the best website for the op-eds. There's no
It
better.
has very good.
There's no
very good
better
op-eds.
op-eds. There's just
Plus
no better.
the Yishai Fleisher show broadcasts on JNS.
There it is. There it is. Oop, there it is. That's right. And then also you could go to jewishpress.com. Excellent email. Very informative. Nothing like David Israel and his witty little sarcasms of analysis about what's happening in
and
Israel.
they really cover the news that you care about.
They cover the news. You go to these 2 websites, you'll be in the know. You'll be in the know. You read the Bible, you read these 2 websites, jns.org and jewishpress.com, you're in the know. That's it. And you listen to the show,
Bang.
then you're not only in the know, you're in the spirit. Okay, very good.
Spiritually dense.
That's right, spiritual density here on the Yishai Fleisher, folks. And Malka, I really want to thank you. You oftentimes call me dense, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, we do have some other people to thank, and that's all of our friends out there in the world who keep us caffeinated. Thank you so much to Krista for the coffee.
You mean spiritual coffee, spiritually dense coffee?
Yes.
You're talking about buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. That's right. That's great support, and our friend Krista knocked it out, in support. And thank you so much.
Give
for
us
that.
the energy to stay up all night cleaning for
That's
Pesach.
right. That's right. And also spiritually, speaking of spiritual density, we wouldn't have any spiritual density if it wasn't for the densest of all spiritual places, which is that exact point where God reveals himself on earth, which is on the Temple Mount. And you could go to the Temple Mount through folks that are extremely spiritually dense, and that is highonthehar.com. They do a great job of getting you up there. My friend MJ and Rabbi Levi will get you up there in purpose and meaning and clarity and in spirituality. You will come with a kernel of spiritual density that will change your life like a nuclear bomb. okay? Like a spiritual nuclear bomb in your life. So that's highontheheart.com. And of course, to connect with it all, which is to be grounded
Yes.
in the roots of the Jewish peoplehood, in the future of our history, and that is hebronfund.com. Excuse me, hebronfund.org. The Jewish community, it's hebron.com or hebronfund.org. And that's the place where we get to connect with the forefathers and mothers, and it's my great honor and privilege to work to beautify and strengthen that town every single day. So that's hebronfund.org. Okay, Malka, I think we covered everybody.
Yes.
Of course, also the Land of Israel Network. They make it all happen for us. Let's take a tiny little break. The Land of Israel Network, founded by Ari and Jeremy. Ari Abramowitz, Jeremy Gimpel, awesome guys. And, of course, Tabitha, Yocheved, Lou and We're Live, Moshe Herman, and Ben Bresky, the one and only. Let's take a tiny little break, Malka, and we'll be just right back with just one last Torah thought. Lots of love, folks, from the Land of Israel. Let's do just a little bit more of Torah, and we'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Anthony Barrett, and I'm from Dublin, Ireland. And I'm here volunteering in the Land of Israel, which I love with all my heart. All the way from Ireland, we listen to the Yishai Fleisher show. I'm one of many Irish people who love and support the nation of Israel and the people of Israel. And we pray God's blessing and protection on you.
Yishai Fleisher Show. Malka, I just want to say today's the first day of Nisan. I have a book here called The Book of Our Heritage. One of the most important books. If you need to buy a book about the basics of Judaism, I've got two recommendations. I always tell people. My recommendation is buy yourself the blue Art Scroll Stone Chumash. The 5 books of Moses is called the Stone Chumash. And the other book that I recommend so much, it comes in different sizes and different prints, but it's called The Book of Our Heritage. The Book of Our Heritage by Eliyahu Kitov. You want to understand the story of Judaism, you get these 2 books, you're done. You'll get everything, okay? That's really the basics. That's the basics of the Jewish life.
Right.
So it says here the first day of Nisan, that's today. Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Malka, has a special glory of its own, more than any other day of the year, for it is the first day of the month, which was designated as the first of all months. It's Rishon. Rishon. Today is Rishon. Today's first. Like the first word in Torah is Bereshit. This is the first. This is the first day in the beginning. Today is in the beginning, Mama.
Nice.
It was this day that God chose for the dedication of the tabernacle, as the day on which his presence began to rest in the midst of Israel. So today was the day that God's Shekhinah, God's presence, came into Israel, which means that this is the day that the presence came into the world.
When Hashem came into the tabernacle for the first time, you're saying?
That's right.
But would you not say that Hashem first came into the world when he brought... I mean, Hashem had come into the world before that.
Listen to this, Malka.
Yeah.
Our sages said the first of Nisan was crowned with 10 crowns. Are you ready for 10 crowns?
I don't know. Are they light, heavy?
These are going to be beautiful crowns, Malka, and a nice Jewish lady like you should be excited when you're offered a crown, okay?
Yeah.
It was the first day of creation,
yes,
according to one interpretation. It was the day when the first of the princes of the tribes, Nachshon ben Aminadav, offered his sacrifice. It was the day when Aaron began his duties as a Kohen. From until then, the divine service had been the task of the firstborn. It was the first day of the communal divine service. It was the first day that the divine fire descended from heaven. It was the first day that the sanctified portions of the sacrifices were eaten only within certain sanctified limits. For when sacrifices could be offered on private altars, the sanctified portions of the offerings could be eaten anywhere. Bottom line is finally like areas were sanctified. It was the first day which God's presence dwelt among the people. As the verse says, I will dwell in your midst. It was the first day on which the Kohanim blessed the people with a special priestly blessing, Malka. And Aaron lifted up his hands and blessed them. It was the first day on which the use of private altars became prohibited. And it was finally it was the first day of the beginning of the month.
The use of private altars was prohibited.
That's right. No more private altars.
People were doing private altars?
Yeah. Bamot. Yeah. Yeah, you could. That's right. In various parts of history, Jews were allowed before the tabernacle, and also, by the way, after the tabernacle was destroyed, there was some time where again altars were allowed, private altars. But then Jerusalem was revealed and it was over. Basically, once Jerusalem was revealed, you were not allowed to do any more private altars. That's something that we should all understand. Like God's like, yeah, God is here, God is there, God is truly everywhere. Right? There's like a song like that. But no, like to offer up sacrifices to God, it's in Yerushalayim. Once it was revealed that this was the place, no other place, is allowed for that according to Judaism. So bamot were not made legal, but there's something beautiful about that. That fact that you can't do it in your backyard anymore or in a holy other special place means that's how holy Jerusalem really became.
Right.
Today's a day of revelation.
Yes.
And so it's ironic that today in like Tel Aviv, it's also a day of, what is it, decomposition?
Wait, what are they calling it? They're calling it National
Confusion Day,
Shutdown Day,
National Recalcitrance Day, National Anger Day at Fellow Jews, National Sinat Chinam Day, National Sinat Chinam Day, National. Then again, you know what? Let me be fair.
In the J Post, they're calling it Day of This is what they call it, Day of Paralysis, which sounds bad. I feel like that's a bad marketing.
I'm gonna go stretch right now. I'm feeling
Day of Paralysis.
I'm feeling like day of. I don't want no day of paralysis. You should tweet that, Malka. Be like, day of paralysis? Is that really what you want to be doing in your life? But you know what? Just to be fair, I want to be fair because I have people who are friends and people on the other side of the aisle. In their mind, they are out there, fighting for democracy in their mind. They're making sure that the country continues to be Jewish and democratic.
With all the love in the world, what people are doing in their minds has a big impact on everybody else's mind.
That's right.
So it's good and it's very nice of you to acknowledge their good intentions. But
I don't agree with their intentions, but I want to air it out.
In some cases, someone could be right and someone could be wrong.
For sure, Malka. I'm just trying to air out their... I don't want them to think that here on the Yishai Fleisher show, this safe haven of truth.
Yes.
I don't want them to be like, I didn't even get a chance to get my viewpoint aired out. That wouldn't be fair. Because still, though, one of the ways to fight for discourse is to be a champion of discourse. And I think that I try also to give people a chance, and on our social media and stuff, we try very hard not to like go ad hominem and get into that whole dark way of the divisiveness that plagues the earth today. All right, so Malka, today is a day of revelation. Today is a day of God's Shekhinah. Everybody say amen. Okay, go ahead, Malka.
Amen.
Okay, there you go. Give me and Malka, you also have...
we have a house guest.
We have a house guest. We have Star the cat.
Yes, we're babysitting.
Yeah, this
cat sitting.
This giant furry cat from the Gimpels is with us right now. And that's it. I want to wish everybody really a lot of tzlacha and mazal tov. Don't make today a day of paralysis.
Yeah.
No. Let's not make today a day of paralysis. Let's make today a day of revelation.
Yes, good one.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, amen to that.
Not day of paralysis, day of revelation. Let's day of embodiment, the opposite of paralysis. A day of unity, a day of light, and a day of getting ready for the great holiday of redemption of Pesach. Malka Fleisher, I want to thank you so much for being with me on this fine show today. You are loved and beloved.
Ditto.
And the land of Israel, the good land, is calling out to you to be part of it. Yesterday, I met some important people. I said to them, did you buy an apartment yet in Israel? They're like, we got to get back to our hotel. I'm like, hotel? It's time for you to own an apartment in the land of Israel. That's what it's time for. And in fact, I want to start advertising somebody who's selling apartments here in the land of Israel. I want to start advertising somebody because I want to help people get that house in Israel. I want to help them get that house. I want them to move in. I want them to drink that wine from the land of Israel. I want them to read that art scroll book. I want them to get on that El Al plane and be part of it. Be part of it. The more we're part of it, the more we're not in a day of paralysis, but a day of revelation. Thank you so much for all of you. God bless you. Be strong out there. Together we are stronger. Don't let the dark forces get you. Forget the darkness. It's bogus. We got to get big. We got to get strong. We got to get lit. Okay, we got to get lit up. We got to get tanked up. We got to get excited about this great time that we're living. Malka Fleisher, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
And Chodesh Tov.
Chodesh Tov.